who would like to join with me, join. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the great blessings that you have bestowed upon us. Thank you for this school district and everyone involved with it. We can do without many things in life, but we cannot do without your blessing. And so we pray that you will bless us tonight as we see these different presentations and rejoice triumphs and wonderful accomplishments that have been made. And as board sits and does business, we pray for your wisdom. We might lead this school district in a way that these students would be benefited in every way for not only this day, but for their entire lives. And we ask these things in the name of Christ our Lord.
Welcome, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order, and let me see here. We're going to go out of order a little bit. First, I'm going to have Addie to come up and do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Salute pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. The board has in front of you the agenda. We do have a couple of amendments. The first one is we are going to be tabling. We were going to discuss and look at policy 5030. We will table that until March. And the other one is Mrs. Rachel Creasy will be coming up to talk about budget, and we are not going to be talking about the Surrey County budget requests for the 25-26 year. With those amendments, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Is there a second?
A second.
Belia? Also need a motion for approval of the open session minutes for December 19th, 2024, January 27th, 2025, and February 7th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Sullivan, could I get a second?
I want a second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. That brings us down to district highlights. Dr. Steve Hall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening to everyone, and thank you for being here. If you hadn't had a chance, I hope you get a chance to see all the wonderful Beta Club projects that are in the cafeteria. Just went through there and talked to some fine students in there. It was with some fantastic projects. Learned a lot about how it operates for the different sections, and some are doing speeches, some are just setting their projects up, and there was a lot of tense moments as I talked with some of them when the judging was taking place at the state. We have a number of students who will be recognized tonight. Just kudos to them and the parents for their support. Want to thank everybody for your support and understanding last week during the weather days we had. Those calls, I will tell you, are very tough to make. But I will always err on the side of caution when it comes to our students and staff. And I've received a number of phone calls and messages, and I just want to say publicly that I appreciate that, because they are not easy calls, but we will always take that into account, and safety will always be first. So thank you for that. Over the past month since our last board meeting, I've had all my advisory group council meetings. They've been wonderful, and we are pushing ahead with our strategic planning, and you will actually see the draft plan of that this evening if you hang around, and we're looking forward to that. A couple of weeks ago, we had a great spelling bee over at central office. We shifted gears and did things a little differently this year, and did it during the school day and held it at central office. It was great. Had some great spellers. It was another tense moment over there during that for not only the students, but I think all of us involved as well as those folks watching. It was very good, and we appreciate the support again and everyone that came out for that. Also, I want to say congratulations to our Teachers of the Year. Those were announced last week at each of the three schools. I'm sure the principals will be recognizing those folks soon, probably at our next board meeting. But congratulations to Miss Stephanie Craig, who is the Teacher of the Year at Elkin Elementary School, Mr. Joey Hurl, who is at Elkin Middle and Elkin High, and Miss Julie Reed, who is Elkin High School English teacher. We are so proud of all three of those, and it will be a tough choice for the District Teacher of the Year, I can tell you that. We also, one last bit of good news, we had up on our website, if you've been there lately, in the past few weeks, a bidding process up for new bleachers for the new gym. And we completed that process last Friday and have taken that down since, and we'll be pushing forward purchase orders for those and getting those new bleachers ordered. So that new gymnasium will have bleachers, we hope, later this spring or in early summer, but we're very, very excited about that. Thank you to Don Altmuller and Rachel Creasy for their hard work on that project. And that's all I have for district highlights, Madam Chair.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, so excited to be able to use that gym fully.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
gonna be so great. Well, I'm gonna turn it right back over to you with good news.
Okay. Some good news and right into some more good news. We received, again, a little late, but better late than never. We received some certificates from the State Board of Education for all three schools for last year's EOG and EOC tests. And so I'll call up all three by their certificate and present them with that, but I'll let you know what each one pertains to as we go. First is Elkin Elementary School, and they are being recognized for exceeding the goal of expected academic progress for students during the 23-24 school year. They exceeded academic growth. Ms. Dr. Rycroft presented on that earlier in the year, 87.5%. It may still be on the school sign. I hope it is, because we brag about that. That was a huge feat, and we're so proud of them. So if Dr. Rycroft will come up, I'll present her with her certificate. Next is Elkin Middle School, and they'll be recognized for achieving the goal of expected academic progress for students during the 23-24 school year. Dr. Hall will come up, present her with her certificate. Thank you so much. Next is Elkin High School for achieving the goal of expected academic progress for students during the 23-24 school year. Thank you. For a bit of good news, I wanted to recognize our new assistant principal at Elkin Elementary School, Mr. Tyler Robbins. If you'll come up. Welcome Tyler to role of a school administrator, and we're so happy to have him on board. He's an Elkin High School graduate. His daughter's in kindergarten here. Huge part of our Elkin family, and we're so glad to have him on board with us. Thank you, sir.
I'm not sure how, do you want to do one at a time, I'm assuming. I'll ask Dr. Emily Rycroft, please. Come up and celebrate our beta clubs.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Hall, and our Elkin community. It is my honor to recognize the Elkin Elementary and Junior Beta Club tonight for all of their hard work so far this year. The National Beta Club, founded in 1934, is an organization devoted to honoring and recognizing students for their achievement, character, leadership qualities, as well as encouraging growth through service and camaraderie. The 4 pillars of Beta include achievement, character, leadership, and service. While we are gathered this evening to recognize the accomplishments of our Betas at the North Carolina State Convention, I would also like to acknowledge the commitment of our sponsors to ensure that our students are consistently leading by serving others, as the club motto declares. Ms. Evelise Minoso and Ms. Denise Cordova co-sponsor the Elkin Elementary Beta Club. Together with several other staff members and parents, these ladies have worked hard all year to provide service learning opportunities for the club. Events such as the supply drive for Western North Carolina, the American Red Cross Blood Drive, a cleanup of Hollywood Cemetery here in Elkin, and a partnership with our local VFW to host a zombie run at the Elkin Park are just a few examples of our betas serving their community. In addition to these service projects, our students have worked hard to create beautiful, creative, and collaborative projects to compete at the State Beta Convention in early February. And in true Elkin tradition, several entries have advanced to the National Convention this summer. At this time, I'll ask Ms. Minoso and Ms. Cordova to recognize our placements at the State Convention.
So we'll go ahead and recognize our Elkin Elementary. This club consists of 4th and 5th graders. In our club, I believe we have a total of 54 4th and 5th graders. So it is our largest group to date. So we'll go ahead and start with marketing and communications team. If you are here, you guys can stand where you're at. That team consisted of Will Durkin, Caroline Oaks, Miles Edwards, and Christian Minoso, and they placed first in the state. In academic testing, so they can test in teams or in academics, and we have social studies, which is Luke Strokowski. He placed first in the state. In 4th grade, academic Spanish was Emily Murphy. She placed second in the state. In visual arts, it was pottery, and that was Ellie Demet, and she got second place. In digital portfolio, again, Emily Murphy placed third in the state. Sensorized design was our Allie Huff, and she placed third in the state. Academic test for health was Will Durkin, and he placed third in the state. Book battle is actually a team event. I believe they're given anywhere from 15 to 12 or 15 titles, and it's usually a group of 4. Our 4th grader is just one person, and he came in third. He read every single book on the list. So kudos to Joseph. Our club trading pin was a group of Harper Richardson, Sarah Nance, Catherine Graff, and Allie Huff, and they placed 4th in the state. Academic 5th grade math was Ashlyn White, and she placed 4th in the state. Mixed media, we have Haven Simmons, and she placed 4th in the state. 3D design, it was a group of Tyne Simmons, Jackson Holbrook, Tash Teague, and Christian Minoso, and they placed 5th in the state. In on-site drawing was Christian Minoso, and he got 5th in the state. In fiber arts was Audrey Corcoran, and she got 5th place in the state. The last one was poetry, and that is Roxy Bird, and she got 5th place. Very well done. This was a lot of the kids were actually 4th graders. We had some 5th graders, but this was their first time competing, and I think they did an amazing job. As a sponsor, I think it also affirmed that sometimes kids' creation is just their own and it's their best stuff. And instead of us directing them, they're very creative by themselves. So I'm really proud of that group for it being their first time. So for juniors, which is our 6th grade. Okay. This club is a little bit smaller. There's only 24 in that club. We had mixed media, which was Isley Color. She came in first in the state. Digital enhanced photography, and that was Jasenia Nicholson. She came in first in the state. In apparel design, it was a group of Azariah Oliver, Lila Burgess, Kenya Aguilar, and Ali Bobbitt, and they came in second. Design, it was Dylan Sierra, Kevin DeGroat, and Jasenia Nicholson, and they came in third in the state. In pottery, it was Addison Wyatt, and she came in 4th place in the state. For our academic awards, we had language arts, which was Sarah Neves Santiago. She came in 4th place in the state. Academics was Josiah Miller, and he came in 5th place in the state. It's really hard for them because they went from being top dogs in elementary and they had to compete against 7th and 8th graders and other 6th graders from their school. So I'm super, super proud we are because they're the underdogs and they came out winning. So congratulations to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Rycroft, I would like to say, I also serve on the Town of Elkin Rec and Park Board, and it was very duly noted and very much appreciated you guys helping clean up Hollywood Cemetery. That was very much a need. Thank you all.
To welcome Dr. Jennifer Hall to the podium and her group.
Small but mighty.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I'm excited to celebrate the outstanding achievements of our Elkin Middle School Beta Club members who participated in the state convention this year. Congratulations to all 45 of our students in grades 7 and 8 for representing our school with dedication, passion, and pride. A heartfelt thank you goes to our club sponsors, Karen Spencer and Heather Gillenwall, for their tireless support, unwavering dedication, and your guidance. Your hard work has been instrumental in the success of these students, and none of this would have been possible without you. Thank you bunches. This year's theme was Radiate, and it focused on radiating service, leadership, achievement, and character. It was an incredible opportunity for our students from across the state to come together to cheer each other on and showcase their talents. This competition offers a variety of individual and team events, highlighting diverse talents of our students. While we often think of gifted students academically, Beta provides a platform where students can showcase their strengths beyond the classroom, whether in visual arts, performing arts, STEM, or even taking on leadership roles as state officers. There truly is something for everyone to shine and show their gifts. Ms. Spencer, will you come and share the winners? Britt, if you will move it forward. Okay, and then one more. We've already done it.
Okay, so as the elementary sponsors have already mentioned, junior beta is 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. By the time our betas get to the middle school, they are busy people. And it gets a little bit harder to be involved because you're competing with your sports practices and all their other extracurricular activities. So we do appreciate the time and effort that all of our participants put into the convention. The previous slide listed everybody that participated. And then of those participants, we did have several winners. Our first place winners, we were really tickled to have this many. Color photography, Jackson Wyatt. Book battle was 4 students, Lucy Henstock, Ruby Quinn Sally, Macy Parsons, and Addie White. Addie, I think you're here. Okay, marketing and communication, Jackson Andrews, Zoe Davis, Anna Kate Slaughter, Mia Swain, Brayden Vestal. I wish I could have been here tonight. Their marketing, service was pickleball with a purpose. So we're gonna try to hit that up and like make it a reality, for the ARC. Service Learning Showcase, we have Ms. Blakely Eller with us tonight, along with Kylie Chilton and Audrey Engler, and they had their display board in the cafeteria for you earlier. Third place winners, we had drawing by Ms. Ayla Sparks. This was her first entry into Beta Visual Arts, and she placed in the top 5 in the state. We had a performing arts duo that made it in the top 5. They had to go down on Sunday night and compete in preliminaries. I would say there probably were over 100 different performing arts that they competed against, and then they narrowed it down to the top 5. And so our Luke Barker and Hunter Hyatt played a duo of fiddle and mandolin. They were really excellent. 4th place winner, Liam Klein in U.S. history, which was a new test this year. They kind of broke that off from social studies. And then we had several 5th place winners. Health and PE was a new test this year, Zoe Davis. Social studies, Luke Barker. Creative writing, Lucy Henstock. Sculpture, Gabe Whitley.
I did have on the back the other participants, what they did. If you'll turn that sheet over,
Okay.
because it's amazing what all have opportunities.
Yeah, so these were competitions that we competed in, but didn't necessarily place in. Apparel design, accessories design, 2D design, 3D design. Our engineering team, they ended up with such a great design, they had to build a racetrack. And we found out after we got our judge score sheets back that they had a penalty for not wearing gloves with their glue gun. So that penalty may have knocked them out. Robotics, scrapbook, digital portfolio, trading pen, musicology, quiz bowl, technology. So we do have lots of, as Dr. Hall mentioned, lots of activities that betas can get involved in. In our visual arts, we had someone enter hand-drawn anime, jewelry design, black and white photography, woodworking, digitally enhanced photography, digital art, recycled art, fiber arts, drawing on site. This year we had a student compete in a new contest called on-site cake decorating. And then of course, computer science was a new test we had someone compete in, as well as poetry, spelling, and speech. So we have got some busy betas. Thank you so much for the chance.
Right.
Thing. Well, Dr. Rycroft and Dr. Hall have already told you all the great and wonderful things about Beta, so I won't go over those details again, but I do want to say how incredibly proud I am of our students. If you've ever been to the state Beta convention, there are thousands of kids at the Glory Convention Center, and our students are they're amazing. They are so well behaved and they're respectful of each other and other people who are there, not just for the state convention, which blows my mind that they would, purposefully plan 2 different events like that at the same time. But our kids are wonderful. So thank you for all that you do and for, keeping that tradition of excellence going for Elkin City Schools. Mr. Shaw, if you'll go to the next slide. We want to recognize our sponsors first. We have Mrs. Carrie Mullis and Miss Julie Reed, who are our sponsors. Miss Reed was actually recognized at the state convention this year for 10 years of service with Beta. That's elementary, junior, and senior Beta years combined. So That's all, that's great. We're proud of her for that. And we have 120 high school national beta members total, and we had about 65 students who participated in the state convention. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mills.
Julie is not here this evening because she's doing senior play practice, so she's got lots of stuff going on, just like all the students do. So that's just why she's not here tonight. So let's go ahead and start announcing our winners. Like we said, we had 65 students who were present and participated in beta and all the things that Ms. Spencer mentioned. These are our winners who are selected. So Isabella Estrada got champion for 12th grade Spanish. Isabella is on her 5th college class for Spanish classes, so she is amazing, and so that's a huge accomplishment for her. Layla K. Edwards knocked it out of the park with her 3rd place speech. Division 1, her speech was all about radiating and bringing that light into the world, and so her speech was really good. Reese Long, he has done ELA, I think all through elementary school, middle school, high school, so he placed 2nd in language arts. Kendall Lester, she got 4th place with her creative writing in Division 1. For the high school, just to kind of let you know, Division 1 is 9th grade and 10th grade, and then Division 2 is 11th grade and 12th grade. So they just kind of split up the high school students a little bit. For our group winners, we had 3D design team that got in 2nd place for their son that you saw out during the showcase earlier. Briley Ainge, Shayla Ainge, and Michaela Dickerson created that. And our digital portfolio team led by Evan Baker and a lot of his friends, Aiden, Mason, Alyssa, Ella, Autumn, Stephanie, Josie, Rosalind, and Mackenzie. They all got with Evan, and Evan got them whipped into shape and created a great portfolio to submit for beta, and they received 5th place. Did I get that right? Evan? Is that about right? Oh. Skip back. There we go. Sorry. Oh.
Over here, it kind of goes away, so sorry.
It went one more time. Can you go back one? It's playing games with us. Okay, so our students, like, they love being creative, and I love that beta gives them a chance to create all these visual arts designs. These are all of our visual arts winners. Ainsley Privet, she did her color photography and got 2nd place. Laura Couch did fiber arts in Division 1, and she really good. What you guys want? Laura Couch got champion for her fiber arts. She made a huge quilt. Autumn Whitley, her on-site drawing, she actually drew a drawing at convention. You have to do it there within a certain time range, so she placed 5th place. Morgan Orta was also on-site painting. She got 4th place. Katie Lyles did quilling, and she got 5th place. Shayla joined us. Shayla Ainge got 5th place for recyclable art. You saw that during the showcase. Harshan Schaffner, he got 2nd place in sculpture. Isabella Estrada got 4th place in her sculpture. If you saw it during the showcase, she made a model of our school, which was really unique and cool. It's going to stay in our school building. Autumn Whitley created woodworking for Division 1 and got 3rd place. And then Joshua Couch made a great table for woodworking, and he got 3rd place. Trying not to mess it up. So these are just some of the pictures that we took in beta with the kids. They did a great job. They had lots of fun. I wanted to show you this one real quick. So at beta, one of the things that they do is they encourage the students to do a scavenger hunt, and it's like a digital scavenger hunt, and they do it with all the other teams that are there at beta. And this encourages them to network, because that's one of the things that I really encourage our high school students to do is network, because we're Elkin, we're tiny, we're small, and we don't teach them how to network as much. So they, these 2 groups did the scavenger hunt, and they had to go find somebody in a different club named Jessica and take a picture with her. There was little silly things that they had to do, but it forced them to go and mingle with the other clubs, which I really like. So they ended up getting top scores with their scavenger hunt. So I wanted to highlight them. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the Leadership Summit. I wanted to honor our leaders that are here with us tonight because we attended the Leadership Summit in October, and this also qualifies them for the national convention that's going to be in June. So at the Leadership Summit, we participated in Lead Outside the Box, which is when you get to Leadership Summit, they give you a prompt, and you have to come up with a solution and present a solution to that prompt. So our leadership team got together and worked on that for a couple of days and then made their presentation.
Collaboration connection is a different kind of a puzzle that they have to do. They have no idea what it is and they have to enter a room and be given a problem to solve, and it's a time limit thing. So not all the time do you get to solve the actual problem during that time limit, but they're looking to see how they connect with each other and how they do teamwork. So we always place really well with that with our students. So we did qualify in both of those events for nationals. So Maggie Sebastian, Webb Snyder, Matthew Thomas, Ella Klein Hexel, and Estefany Morales are all qualified to go to nationals to compete in those events there. Ella stepped up and she was selected as the North Carolina Beta Ambassador. So she had to go into a room, what do you say, about 20 other kids, and interview for the Beta ambassadors. And there was only 3 students selected out of those 20 students. And so she was selected. So as her leadership position next year, when they do leadership summit, she will have to run it. She'll have to give a speech. She'll have to put on the whole summit next year. So that encourages her to blossom all of her leadership skills. So we're really proud of her. And she has also decided to go to nationals, and she will do the same type of thing at nationals with all other leaders from around the United States. So we're very excited for all of our Beta students. We can give them all a round of applause. And so I guess it's on in the high school, the last one. So I get to say congratulations to everybody who participated at the state convention. Nationals is in Orlando this year. It is at the end of June. So a lot of our families that you have seen tonight are going to be traveling down to Florida during that time. Most people decide to kind of take their own family vacations when they go to nationals, but we're all going to be going down there, rooting them on as they compete against students across the entire United States. So thank you and congratulations to everybody.
I just want to congratulate all of the betas. Again, I know there's not as many here as there were in there, but I think everybody would agree that just the projects and the ideas that these betas come up with are really fantastic and amazing. And I also want to thank the beta sponsors. They just put in so much time and effort, and there's no money associated with it. They do it. So thank you. As you can see, everybody's leaving. We're gonna recess anyway, well, maybe we don't need, I will, just in case other people want to leave too. Thank you guys for coming in. Really appreciate it. But yeah, oh, shoot, thank you. Public forum. Before I do that, yes, did we have anybody come in for public forum, or do we have anybody online, Brett? Okay. Okay. Then we'll take a very, very brief recess, and then we'll come back in just a couple minutes. Okay, we'll begin again. Moving on to public information, I'll turn it over again to Dr. Steve Hall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have some first readings before you that was sent out earlier to you folks. Some of these are some of the suggestions that were presented by the board. And we tweaked and combined some of those that we're trying to clean up and get rid of multiple policies talking about the same thing. That's what these here are. We made some tweaks and adjustments and cleaned several of those policies up. If anyone has any questions or any discussion, but we will revisit these for the second reading and hopefully approval at our March meeting.
Madam Chair, I'd like to say I really appreciate you and the committee, whomever they may be, that are working on these, and it helps us to run things more efficiently. We don't have policy over here in the 2000s and the policy here in the 7000s and the policy here in the 9000s that are basically saying the same thing. And it whittles down a lot of the excess and I think makes things more functional. So I commend you and the team. I'm not sure who all is.
All the directors and the principals, assistant principals, we share those out with them, and everybody's got an eye on them, and we tweak things, adjust things, and just trying to clean those up. And so everybody plays a role in those.
I remember when I first came on board, I was overwhelmed with the policy book, and I sat down to read through it,
Yes.
and I got about a little over a third of the way, and then I just started spot reading, and I saw so many redundancies.
Yes.
And so you're to be commended, and keep up that good work until we get that down to where it's a
Thank you.
lean, mean operating machine.
Thank you, sir. All right, next on the agenda is the alternative learning program. If you pull that draft up. Draft, that we put together. You can see here, we have our own school board policy as well as the general statute there, that says a Board of Education shall provide an alternative learning program for the school district. We've had the Elk Academy in the past, and we are looking at different options currently to bring the Elk Academy back. You can see, we've got some information here, and some bullets on, what that program actually addresses. And there's also a link attached there of a video that was put together, several years ago, when the Elk Academy was in full force here at the high school. And it tells a lot more about the program itself and what they did in that program and how they did it. So when you get a chance, please take a look at that video. But we, like I said, the team, we are looking at options, and our goal is to get that program back up and running with board support and have an alternative setting for those students that need that. And it could be middle, high, those students that need a separate setting from the traditional classroom and a little extra help, support, encouragement to get where they need to go. Thank you.
Do
Any
you,
discussion there?
do you know, I'm assuming that you're not looking to add this yet this year, but hopefully at the beginning of next year?
That's our goal. Yes, ma'am.
And would it be used by both middle and high, or
Yes,
just?
yes.
Okay. Is there any chance, I know how successful and needed this program is. Is there any chance that we would ever be able to have anything like this at the elementary school as well?
That would be our long-range goal. Yes. Yes,
Is it funding though mostly
Yes,
at
ma'am.
this point?
Yes, ma'am. But I've seen those programs in the elementary, middle, and high school levels, and they're successful.
Yeah.
And it keeps kids in school in a separate setting. And they're still learning and getting the supports they need
Yeah.
to be successful. So it can be very successful at each level, and that's our goal.
I was just gonna say, is there any other discussion or questions?
Dr. Hall, since we have, I guess, closed down the Elk Academy and considering reopening it, which I think is a great idea, what are we doing in the interim?
That's the thing, the principals.
I remember,
The principals are doing that work on their
Mhm.
own. They're bringing kids into their office. They're working with one-on-one. It's not ideal because, as you know, principals are very busy.
Yeah.
Assistant principals are very busy day to day. But they've taken it on themselves in this crunch, and I commend them for doing that.
I remember Principal Burton talking about maybe 10 students outside the class up there, and I thought, oh my soul, I mean, with everything else she has to do, and then I guess you're the one that oversees you and Ms. Mullis?
It's not ideal.
No, it is not ideal.
I know that it has worked in the past and it's something that we really need to bring back. I would love if Dr. Rycroft could talk to us or get some information about how this in the elementary school could help. How many students that you might have that would utilize this in the course of maybe a year. So if we could get some of that information too, because we already know how it's helped at the high school and we know how it works when it's not around. So we've never had it at the elementary school. And I'm sure that there's a need. So. Go ahead.
I would be interested to learn what criteria at the elementary level. And I know it's pretty different from the older kids. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely get into that once my mind goes to teacher development. So, yeah, that's.
So any feedback too that you would have, and I would think at the high school, it might be more long-term with students.
Very fluid. Way that it's set up. Sometimes, yes, a student may be in there the whole day. It may be that a student goes in there for 1 or 2 periods of the day. As you know, at the high school, graduation requirements. And so when students get behind, the sooner we can get them caught up, the more successful they're going to be. So.
Any other discussion or question?
So it's something they move in and out of.
Yeah, it could be very short term, like you said, a day. It could be several months, depending on the situation.
Academics, attendance, and behavior.
And so, Dr. Hall, you would use the model that are you gonna use that? Are you gonna improve upon it?
We'll use that model and keep improving on it, and we'll look at the elementary model
I
as
think
well, because
that-
it would be very different, what plays into those students entering that program, but we would look at that. Right. Thank you.
Continue, yeah.
I guess you are presenting the strategic plan now.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm gonna come
please.
here.
That would be great. Thank you.
Like I said in the good news updates, we've been working on the strategic plan for Elkin City Schools since I got here, pretty much. Our old strategic plan ran out June 30, 2024. And I arrived here in October of 24 or 23, sorry. We began this work. You go ahead and go to the next slide if you want to, Britt. Keep going. Next one. Thank you. You can see here kind of a little timeline that I put together. Began this work talking with leadership team in July of 24 when that plan ran out, June 30, the old plan. Then we moved to you guys. We had a great meeting over at central office in the conference room with our leadership team, and a lot of great discussion came from that. Looking at our mission and vision, looking at our motto, and looking at what we wanted for Elkin City Schools, students and staff as we move forward. We set dates on that plan of 2024 through 2028. We then presented to the curriculum instruction team, and that is myself and the directors at the central office in September. And then I began my advisory group meetings in the fall, back in October, and started that process with those groups because I felt to have a true living, breathing school improvement plan or strategic plan, we need to bring everybody, all stakeholders on board. So I presented to my student advisory council, which is comprised of about 30 students from grades 3 through 12. My teacher advisory group, and they're from all over the district. Support staff, again, all over the district. A parent advisory group. And in October as well, Dana Carpenter already has in place a business advisory group through CTE. So it just lined up perfectly. In October, she was having a meeting. She invited me to come, and I presented to them as well. And I hit it perfectly. There were over 30 business leaders from across Surrey County in that meeting, as well as Dr. David Shockley from the community college. We received great feedback from that group. And the questions were, what are you looking for in a student graduating Elkin High School? And so great feedback there, great feedback of what they're seeing with our student interns that are traveling out to their businesses through the Surrey Yakin Works program. So great feedback from all those groups. Then I went back to the leadership team in December for another presentation. It kept moving that forward. And we decided from all those groups prior, the things that kept bubbling to the top, there were three main buckets: people, programs, and places. So that's where our focus began to go. And then from there, we wanted to build goals under those three buckets. And so we continued pushing that forward. And then in January, I presented to curriculum team and leadership again about our strategic plan. And then just this month, I came back together with all my advisory groups and started looking at action steps. How are we going to get to where we want to go? And those three buckets and the goals underneath, how are we going to get there? You would have been so blown away by the feedback from each of those groups. I got ribbed by some folks about the student group. They're like, they're not going to care about this. And you would be surprised. We started our conversation around those three buckets, and those students were so involved, and those are the folks we got to listen to. That is who we're all here for, are those students. So it was very important to me that they play a huge role in this. So you're going to see here in just a few minutes, some of those action steps actually came from our students, okay? Also, over on the side to the right, it was also perfect timing. Again, the teacher working conditions survey, which is put out by the state of North Carolina every 2 years, came out in the 23-24 school year. So we use a lot of that data because that is anonymous, and that is our teachers speaking back to leadership on how things are going. It's kind of a temperature check. And so we took that data and some sticking points that stuck out because they break it down by group. And some of those things you're going to find, and I'll point those out as we go through our action steps here. That's coming directly from, well, it's a correlation actually from some of the advisory group data and the teacher working conditions survey on what people want to see here in Elkin City as we move forward. Also, the Elkin Educational Foundation, huge supporter of our school system, they are building their strategic plan currently as well because it's a new organization, and they are trying to mesh their goals with our goals and support us in every way possible. So this is all a perfect storm, I believe, to get Elkin City Schools back to where we want it to be. And we're going to push forward and strive for that excellence that we all love and know. All right, Britt, you can go to the next slide, please. Again, here's the three main buckets: people, programs, and places. Underneath those, three main categories in each you'll see: students, staff, community. Under people, and under programs, it's curriculum, professional development, and funding. And then the places, of course, is going to be the facilities, safety, and technology infrastructure. Britt's smiling over there. I can see it. All right, go to the next slide. All right, here we go. Under people, the first one was students. And that top line is the goal. Students will be prepared for enrollment, enlistment, or employment upon graduation from Elkin City Schools. Underneath that, I've got hundreds of action steps. It was amazing when I started putting all the data together and how it all started to align. Cleaned it up and broke it down into 5 action steps. First one, align the curriculum with the college and career readiness standards by integrating project-based learning, STEM initiatives, and interdisciplinary coursework that connects academics to real-world applications for all students. The second one is develop an individualized graduation and career plan. And you'll notice as we go through some of these things we've already begun. We're already starting those career plans in middle school now. That's going to be for each student. It says they're starting in middle school to align their coursework with future aspirations. The third one is continue to build our student capacity or students' capacity through internships, pre-apprenticeships, apprenticeships with Surrey Yakin Works, Surrey Yakin Fleet, and the Yakin Links program. We've already begun with Surrey Yakin Works and Fleet. We have 31 students currently in Surrey Yakin Works with the apprenticeships. We have 2 students from Elkin City in the Surrey Yakin Fleet program. The Yakin Links program is a new program that Yakin County Schools, as part of Surrey Yakin Works, got a grant from the Golden Leaf Foundation, and they are just getting that off the ground. But it'll be a similar type program as the Surrey Fleet program at a local business in Yakin County, which will be a little closer for some of our students. Their superintendent has already reached out and said, this grant, it's under the umbrella of Surrey Yakin Works, which all the school systems, with all 4 are a part of. And our students will have an opportunity to participate in that program as well. And I believe that's going to be at Austin Enclosures in Yakin County. But that's things to come. Again, the next is the soft skills piece. This is from the Portrait of a Graduate as well that came out a couple of years ago. We're trying to integrate this soft skills in everything we do here in Elkin City Schools. And that's the communication, the teamwork, critical thinking, problem solving, adaptability. All those are the things we're looking for in our students. And guess what? That was the big things that came back from the Business Advisory Council that they are looking for in those students that come to them to work or intern or job shadow or whatever. Dr. Shockley also touched back on those soft skills because he sees a lot of that from students that are transitioning from high school to the community college level. That communication piece is going to be huge. They're going to have to be able to be adaptable and move forward as they go through the college community system, or if they go to enlist, like we said, that's back in our goal, or they go straight to work. Also, we want to offer up more opportunities, and this came from several groups. Our student group voiced this very loudly to me about the college admissions, military recruiters, and businesses in our area. They want to see more of those folks. They want to interact with those folks more. So we got to listen to that. They're our students. That's why we're here, like I said. Next slide, Britt. Next big group under people is staff. Elkin City Schools will recruit and retain the highest quality staff to provide the best education for all our students. Again, all of our groups gave great feedback. Our student group sticks out to me because this is the one that blew me away, and it would have blew you away. When I started talking about professional development and how that makes the teacher better, helps them get better in their craft, and especially if they have choice to do those type things, the students were all in, the whole group. Yeah, I want my teacher to have those opportunities, Dr. Hall, because they're going to get better, which is going to make me better. And that stuck with me. That was powerful. So strengthen partnerships with universities, teacher preparation programs, and professional organizations to attract the best here. And we're doing that, some of that already. We want to continue to build upon that. We want to regularly review and adjust our salary structures and benefit packages to try to build a better workforce here in Elkin. Mr. Blackburn said it a couple of days ago. We're the second largest employer in Elkin, behind Hugh Chatham. So we got to look after our employees. A culture of appreciation and support by strengthening mentorship programs. The students, again, talked about that, about having a mentor. There's 4 seniors in that student advisory group, and they're getting ready to graduate soon. All 4 told me they had no clue what they wanted to do when they leave here. And I told them that was perfectly fine, to not worry. They know where they're going. They just don't know what they want to do. I think a mentorship program could help with that. And some of that is already in the works here. Again, Our staff is already working on some of those things. We want to ensure there's an open line of communication between leadership, that would be all of us here, as well as staff at the schools and our community, all of our stakeholders. And we've already started chipping away at that and doing a better job of that, I feel, of being transparent and upfront. And I hope this plan is being transparent with folks. This is what we're trying to do to make things better here. Here's the professional development piece. Again, the kids, I told you, talked about it. Our Ed Foundation is so graciously supporting this for us already. It is written into their strategic plan as well to support the school system with this. So they are a huge supporter of helping our teachers to gain that professional development, something they choose to do, not something that's been handed down to them from the state level, federal level, some of those unfunded mandates that we constantly receive. This is something that they can get on their own in their own area and get the CEU credits for. And the students were all for that. So I love that piece of it. You can go to the next one, Britt. Thank you. Last group under people is community, of course. We gotta reach out. Like I said, we gotta continue that bridge between our stakeholders throughout Elkin and surrounding areas. It says Elkin City Schools will develop, sustain communication and partnerships with all community stakeholders. And through that, we'll use our social media, which everybody knows is picked up tremendously. Amanda and Britt, that team does a heck of a job. Amanda's got some great webmasters out at all three schools, and they're constantly putting out great things that are happening here in the school system. And you'll notice it's always got some blue and gold in it, and I love that. The look is consistent. It looks good, and it speaks volumes of what is happening in our schools. Thank you. We're going to develop programs that invite the parents and retirees and community members back in. We've already begun some of that, breaking down those barriers. Last fall at Thanksgiving, we had 200 and, how many was it, Emily? 210 parents and grandparents, aunts, uncles come in to the elementary school and have lunch with their student over there. It was amazing. Got so much feedback from that, from those folks. But in my student advisory meeting in February, the students brought that up when we were talking about the community piece. They said, we have some siblings at the elementary school, and our parents loved coming over there and having lunch. That made me feel good. That made me realize we're doing something right. We're doing what our community is asking. So we're building those bridges, like I said, and those partnerships. We're also looking at networking with our alumni. And I've already heard Coach Baker talking about it. He's got a plan that he's working on with alumni. And our Ed Foundation started this process last year. They had a great event at Coley Hall. It was sold out. There's about 350 people there, all alumni. Elkin City Schools. So we're bringing that alumni base back into the fold and letting them know, hey, we're still here. We're still striving to be the best, and we're going to get there with your help. So we've got a great partner with the Ed Foundation, and I feel very strongly that we're going to continue to build that bond with our alumni associations. You can go ahead, Britt. Next big bucket after people is our programs. It's not wanting to cooperate, is it, Britt? There it went. And under that first one is curriculum. Elkin City Schools will engage students through rigorous content, relevant activities, and strong relationships. And you'll see relationships is weaved all throughout the whole entire plan. That's our foundation for everything we do here, is those relationships. We're going to ensure that the curriculum materials we use here are aligned with state standards. They're research-based, and they're vetted by a team so that we know what we're giving our teachers to use to support our students in the classroom. That's a huge goal. We're going to develop project-based learning. That was in one of the others as well. So you can see that this is something that came up more than one time. We're going to have internships again. It's more than one time in there. Community service projects, career exploration opportunities that make learning more meaningful for our students. We're going to provide professional development for our educators on relationship building strategies, mentorship, differentiated instruction, and intrinsic motivation. That came up from the business side, as well as our teachers, support staff, and I sent this out to all of our staff and our district leadership team. This kept bubbling to the top. We're going to build on those things. We have a lot of young staff members, and we're going to provide the proper training and professional development to help them with those classroom management issues and the relationship building piece and all that involves our students and what's best for them. We're going to encourage student input, and we're already doing that with the Student Advisory Council, but I also know it's happening in all 3 schools. Our teachers are talking to our students. I go in and out of the classrooms, and I'm seeing choice boards at all 3 levels in the classroom. Students are having some choice in what they're learning and how they're learning it. So we've got to encourage that. The student group was very strong and had some very strong feelings about that, about having some choice in what they're learning and how they're learning it. And that goes along with the extracurricular activities. We're very fortunate, as small as we are, to offer all the extracurricular activities that we are able to do here. As far as sports and clubs, that was amazing, the numbers of the Beta Club members across the 3 schools. That's amazing. We're going to continue to build that and use those avenues to strengthen what is already an excellent school system. And you can see the student clubs, student council, and the advisory councils, of course. Go ahead, Britt. Thank you. Next one is professional development. Again, it keeps coming back up. It's been in 3 areas now. Professional development is important. Elkin City Schools will provide impactful, current, ongoing professional development for all staff. And here's the key that I heard from staff members. This is the main thing that came up on the teacher working conditions survey from the state. It was over 60, I think it was 68%, if I'm not wrong. The staff members that wanted meaningful professional development with follow-up. We're not just going to say, here it is, you're going to this training, you're going through the motions, and then you go back to your classroom and you never use it again. I didn't like it as a teacher. They don't like it either. So whatever we're going to ask them to do, or they're going to choose to do on their own through that Ed Foundation grant, is going to be meaningful, and there's going to be follow-up. I'm asking those folks that choose the professional development on their own and use that grant to come back and teach what they learned to their fellow staff members in a staff meeting. So we've already started some of this, and we're going to continue to build upon that. Okay? We're going to provide professional development that's directly applicable to daily lessons. Like I said, it's going to be meaningful. We're going to have regular check-ins. We're going to have professional learning communities, which we already have, and they're going to share those ideas out in those professional learning communities. It's going to be a place where they can improve and learn. And I used to call it steal from each other. When I taught, I saw a great idea, I took it and used it. And that's what we got to do. We got to tear those barriers down again. We got to trust one another, and we got to share the great ideas. If something's working across the hall and I know it as a teacher, I want to go and find out and learn more about it. And we're going to open those doors and allow that for teachers to feel comfortable to go across the hall and ask and to share and to support each other. Sometimes I'm sure they feel like they're on an island, and I don't want them to feel that way. I want them to feel supported in every aspect. We're going to look at funding. Funding, we've talked about a lot since I got here in October of 23. We're going to look at all sources We're going to look at our allotments closely from the federal, state, local level, and we're also going to look at grant writing. This came up in every single advisory meeting. Even the students said, "Hey, Dr. Hall, have y'all thought about grant writing?" Which tells me they've heard, they know, which means we're doing a pretty good job of being transparent if our students realize it and know. And that's the goal. We're not going to sweep things under the rug. We're going to be transparent and upfront. And everybody's going to know where we're at, where we stand, and where we're headed. Go to the next slide, Britt. Funding. Wow, popped up again. Elkin City Schools will secure adequate long-range funding for all programs, people, and places. So this actually touches all the buckets. The funding, we know, it all ends up going back to funding. We're going to create a multi-year budget plan. We're currently working on next year's budget, but while we're doing that, the team and I are already looking, and we've talked about it. We've got a long-range plan. We can't just go from year to year to year and just keep praying, hey, we're going to be okay. We've got to have a long-range plan and put some things in place to make that happen for our students and staff. We're going to work with our policymakers. We've already started that, trying to build those bridges. Started that from day one when I hit the ground here. We're going to build those bridges with our policymakers and our school board, you guys, and our community leaders. And they're our partners. They're stakeholders in this. And it was evident in that Business Advisory Council group meeting. They want us to succeed and they want to help. They just need some guidance in how that help or assistance is going to happen. And I'm hoping this strategic plan will help with that roadmap. Again, we're going to look at our local businesses, our higher ed institutions. It's great that I sit on a couple of boards with Dr. Shockley, and we're in constant communication because he has his pulse on that, and he knows what that type student is going to look like and how they're going to be successful at that next level. So we're going to keep building on that. We're going to look at our nonprofit organizations like our Ed Foundation. They're here and a huge support, and they want to continue to help. And I will go ahead and give you a preview next month. Dr. Harrell will be here, and he will do a short presentation on the Ed Foundation, how their new strategic plan is coming together, and what their plan is moving forward long range to assist the school system. So I'm excited about that. One of our goals, and this came up in a lot of the surveys, a grant writer. We've talked about that already here. It's popped up a couple of times. When we're looking at funding and funding sources, we're going to have to tap into some grants to get us where we need to be. We've already begun that as a team, kind of tackling it as a team, but it would be great in the future to have a dedicated grant writer, that was their focus. And because I have a sneaky feeling it's going to be much needed as we continue in the future. With cuts to federal, local, and state funding, we're going to have to look at outside sources. So let's keep that in the back of our mind as we're pushing forward. Again, our alumni and our stakeholders, all of our stakeholders, we're going to look at fundraising, sponsorships. I know athletics talks a lot about those things, and we want to get that built back up to what it should be. Not what it could be, what it should be here in Elkin City. And so I'm sure there's going to be some plans forthcoming about that alumni association, specifically towards athletics as well. Okay, you can go to the next one, Britt. Thank you. Now we're on to places, the third big bucket, and of course facilities we've talked about last couple of months. That's a big one. Always, we're so blessed that we just opened our new gymnasium in August. You heard tonight we were going to be putting that PO out to get some bleachers in here, and I'm so excited for our kids and our staff to start using that gym the way it was meant to be used. It's exciting. Elkin City Schools will provide clean, updated, and engaging spaces for all our students and staff. Seems pretty basic, doesn't it? Some of our buildings are old. We know. We talked about it last month. Our elementary school, we know how old it is. We know that some of those high cost items could go at any time. So we got to start planning on those things. That's why we did that preliminary plan last month to start looking and talking. At least we got the discussion going and folks heard and know that we're looking at that. We're not just sweeping it under the rug. We're actually thinking about those things as we try to move the district forward. We're going to create a long-range facility plan. I've been talking to the leadership team about it. I've been talking to you guys about it. We're going to continue to build that long-range plan together. We have to look forward, and we're going to have to look at those funding sources as we move forward to make some of these things happen. We're going to explore the local, state, and federal funds, of course, but we also want to tap into those grants like has popped up in several of these action items. You can see we want to have beautiful, clean, safe spaces. We all know that that fosters a culture of respect when you walk into these buildings, and we are blessed with the maintenance staff, custodial staff in Elkin City Schools. You walk into any of these buildings, it's amazing how they smell, how they look, and just the overall feel of it as you're walking through the building. It's not like that everywhere, I can promise you. It is not like that everywhere. We're very blessed. But we want to continue that. That goes along with excellence. When it looks good, it feels good, it smells good, that's going to transition to the classroom. So keep that in mind. Another big goal, this last one I'm going to touch on, the 6th grade students. This came up several times. There are some 6th grade students on my advisory council. They talked about this one as well. They said they would rather be over here. Like, granted, I think it's only 3 or 4 in that age group, but they said they would rather be over here because they want a true middle school. They said, you know, we play sports, we go to these other schools, and they're 6, 7, and 8. They don't just get bussed over in the afternoons and feel like an afterthought. You know, that's something you need to think about, what those children are thinking. They want to be a part of. They said they feel like it'll open more opportunities for them to be a true middle school. So we added that goal in. It came up from the teachers. It came up from the parent group. It came up from the support staff group and the student group. And we've been talking about it, and I know it was talked about before I even got here. So that is something we need to look at. This will help not only the students and staff, but financially, it will help Elkin City Schools in several different categories. So that's something we need to keep on our radar and look at very, very closely. Thank you, Britt. Go ahead to the next one. Next is safety. And again, safety is at the forefront of everything we do. Elkin City Schools will provide an environment that is safe for all students and staff. All students and staff. We are fortunate again that we have the technology in place that we do. We have the key card entry systems and the camera systems, buzz-ins at the front doors. We want to continue with that and keep those items updated because we all know how quickly technology changes over time. So we want to stay on top of that. That's part of that first one there. We've got to look at the funding there. We're fortunate that there are some safety grants through the state level that provide some help with those technology items, but also our SROs. So we want to stay on top of that as well. You can see there, this came up in several of the surveys, an additional assistant principal. In the future, there are some bills currently I think there's at least 2 in the General Assembly currently for an assistant principal in every school in North Carolina. Because a lot of small schools do not have, and we share here at the middle and high. That's a safety thing. A school resource officer in every school, we share here again, would be great. That's a safety thing. A school nurse in every school. There are actually, last count, I think there were 4 separate bills to provide a school nurse in every single school in the state of North Carolina. It's sad to say there isn't. to be honest. I can't believe we're talking about that, but a school nurse in every building would be important. It would be great to have a district social worker and a district school psychologist full-time. We currently contract for a school psychologist. We have no social worker. Those are things, again, this is a strategic plan. These are things we're trying to push forward to. So keep that in mind. We're going to continue with our safety drills at all 3 schools, and those take place throughout the year. So we want to continue that, and we want to keep refining those processes to make them faster, quicker, safer for our students and staff. Here's a big one. We're going to foster a culture of respect and community by implementing school and classroom behavior systems. Those are already in place at the schools. We're going to continue to refine those, and tweak those, and make them better for our students, staff, and parents. And the communication piece is going to be huge there for the success of those programs. We got to continue that communication with our parents when something is happening at the school with their child. And we will do that. We're going to educate students on conflict resolution and responsible behavior. And we're already doing some of that at each of our schools. Our school counselors are assisting with some of that education on the conflict resolution piece and being a responsible student. And it's plastered throughout our schools too about being responsible and different things with the posters and things at the high school, middle school, and the elementary school. So we've already started some of that. We just want to refine that and shine a spotlight on that and continue that open line of communication. All right, Britt. Last slide, and this is Britt. Baby here, the technology infrastructure is part of the places. We've got to keep that in mind because, like I said, with the security equipment, everything in our buildings is constantly changing as far as the technology goes. Our student devices, our teacher devices, their desktops, these Promethean boards, eventually they will be they'll be obsolete. They'll be the latest and greatest out, and we'll have to think about those type things. So Elkin City Schools will continue to provide the latest technology, all to ensure enhanced teaching and learning. So we got to create a plan there. Again, that's part of that long-range plan on how we're going to maintain our infrastructure with the wiring and our access points for Wi-Fi throughout our facilities. The security systems, well, I'm sure a couple of years or maybe even sooner, will change and we'll have to update. So we got to think about that so we can stay on top of those things. Again, tied to funding, I know, but hopefully if we can get us a grant writer in the future, I think that will help with that situation. We're going to provide professional development, and there's going to be follow-up with the latest and greatest technology that comes down. We're getting ready to make a changeover from Power School to Infinite Campus, which will be huge for our district. It's going to be huge for the state. Some districts are already piloting that program. Britt and Ashley Davis will lead us through that charge. They're already getting trained, and we'll get all of our folks trained. Of course, with any new switchover, there will be some problems and issues, and we will all work through those together. But we will communicate those issues, communicate about those issues, and get feedback from parents as we move through that process. Talking CTE again, that number 3, Dana and I and the team have had several conversations about the technology that's available through our CTE programs, and we would like to continue that, but also enhance that because it's constantly changing as well. There's a drone class out there where our students can receive a certification to fly a drone, and that's an FAA certification. Britt is a huge fan. But that would be huge for our students. There's a whole new field out there now that I didn't even know about. I talked to the students about this, and they knew all about it, of course. Real estate is using it a lot. Architects and engineers are using it to go through buildings and scan out a building, and it's just amazing. It's mind-blowing to me, some of the things they can do with the drones. But we got to look at that. We're going to look at the robotics, coding. AI is a big one. And we want to morph that into our CTE courses and teach the proper way to use the artificial intelligence. It's all around us. So that's part of being a good digital citizen. We want to teach our students the ins and outs of that and how to use those things properly as we go. We're going to collaborate with our local businesses, hopefully through some of this, and our universities, our community college, our tech department, and our CTE department, and try to secure some funding to bring in some of these new classes. That was some of the things that, again, the students mentioned that they would like to see in the future. They also mentioned cybersecurity as a possible course, and I do believe there is a course out there at the high school level. So these are just some things that the students brought forth, like I said, and came forward in several of our adults that I surveyed through our advisory group meetings. All right, Britt. So that is our strategic plan draft currently. Again, like I said, there were hundreds of responses with the action steps for each of those big buckets. I went through and went through and went through and bounced ideas off the team. And this is what we've come up with. And again, it's a draft. Things can be tweaked, things can be added if we need to, but we're trying to not get too many irons in the fire, like my grandpa used to say, and try to keep it focused. So we tried to trim that down and focus on, and so you can see in some of those, there were several things combined in an action step. That was for a reason, to try to pull in, because we had so much feedback on this plan. It's great to see the excitement around it and that so many of our stakeholders want to be involved in it. So if you have any questions, comments, I'll take those now. Bless you.
How many students did you have in your student group?
I have 32 students on my advisory group. Again, it's grades 3-12. There's 4 seniors, I know. I think there's 2 third graders. There's 3 or 4 middle school age kids. But it's a good spectrum of the students. And it's funny, some of the ones that played sports and couldn't come because different things were happening. I emailed them out the form and they filled it out and sent it back to me. So they got homework from the superintendent, which was pretty cool, but they did fill it out, which was great. I've just felt it was important that we needed to hear. And in our October meeting, I told them what was coming, and I said, please talk to your classmates about what we're trying to do, and that this plan is really for you guys. And we want that feedback. It's going to be important as we build this and go forward. So a lot of them came back with some great ideas. So I feel like they did talk to people. They talked to their friends. They talked to their families about it, because there was a lot of great feedback in that February meeting with the student group. They're great. Our students are great. We're so fortunate. And it's across the board. It's not just that advisory group. It's across the board that they're so involved with their own education, and they take some pride in our school system, and they want us to be the best, and they want to help us get there and stay there. So it was great.
This is a lot.
It is. It's a lot.
It's a lot of good stuff. A couple of things
Sure.
that I don't know if adding would be the right word, but as we try and guide and move in the direction that you see us going, one of the things I know that we've talked a lot about as a board was like just the constant moving around. We looked at principals as an example, and we've had lots of movement there, and then lots of movement within the schools and changing over of teachers and things like that. And one of the things I think we probably like to see in the plan, and maybe, it's kind of in here, but it's not like laid out perfectly, is just that consistency. Like, I feel like this school has been like just going like this the past couple of years, once COVID, like we're on this really rough sea. And I don't know how we can put that in there, but I really feel like that's one of the things that that I think the community, the teachers, the staff is so important to know that we're trying to strive towards more consistency, more, I don't know, building a foundation, just steady, secure, safe,
There's several,
stable.
there's several places in there. I think we can weave that in.
Yeah,
And under people, under the curriculum, and in the program bucket, I think we can weave that in there.
you know, because that's one of the things that we said, really, I feel like
Consistency,
people need to.
stable
know what we're
environment,
trying
yes.
To do,
Okay.
yeah. And this is just one other thing that I found was, you know, one of our core missions, and I know Earl will comment on this in a few moments. But that we always talk about is just, ensuring students thrive academically, and like, what you have here is great. You know, I guess I'm on it. Am I on it? Yeah, as far as, you know, we hope that they can go out and get employed or enlist or whatever. I think that's great. I feel like this is more for the upper grades, but as like the whole school itself, just setting clear expectations again, like measurable goals for improving our literacy and math skills and you did talk about critical thinking. But I feel like, you know, Amanda has done an amazing job, Mrs. Burton, on like high graduation rate and, you know, continuing that.
Yes. We can
I
weave
feel
that.
like, you know,
Yeah.
some of those main things are not necessarily, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, we can add those in, make it a little more specific.
Yeah, I think what you've done is great, and all the groups and community involvement, students, and parents, staff,
Mhm.
everyone. I think that's amazing that they've all contributed. But I think if we can like condense it down a little, like it's pretty overwhelming for all the different things, but making it measurable, I think that's important.
Okay.
But I think these are definitely great, I don't want to say starts, but ideas to lead to more
Great
condensed
things.
first. Yeah.
I agree. It's very aggressive, which I think is good, because if you don't aim high, you're not gonna hit very much. You know, you aim low, you usually get close to what you're aiming at. This is great. But, and I don't mean to throw a wet blanket on everything, but I read through this thing 4 times over from the time I received it till today. And I got a little tired reading it. Not tired of what was saying, it just wore me out.
Yes, sir.
There's so many things there. And there was one looming question as I'm reading all of this. And I know that you have action items in there, which are very good, because we've got to have those, or we can't measure what we're attempting to do. But the one big question that just kept popping into my mind was, how? How are we going to accomplish this? How are we going to see this through? How we're going to get it done? Are we going to arrive at our intended goal? And everything was excellent. No complaints whatsoever. It shows you've had a lot of feedback and a lot of thought. But it is overwhelming.
Very. Like I said,
And I think
there was a lot of information to go through,
Yeah,
and I tried to whittle it down, but you're right, it is a lot, and
It
it
is.
is aggressive.
and we
Can
don't
be
want
more
to back
specific
up from
in
that.
some of those areas, though.
In my opinion, we don't want to back up. But, you know, the main thing is, you've heard me say this so many times. The main purpose of public education is a sound,
That's right.
basic education.
Yes, sir.
And I do have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Further questions. One, I can't remember which slide it was on. I didn't bring my printout with me. But you said in going through the schools, there were choices, and some of the students, what did the students want to learn that they're not already learning?
Majority of that came from that, in that last section, with the technology piece and the CTE classes. They would love to see more CTE offerings. That was a biggie for the students. Middle school and high school, they would love to have more CTE offerings. And some of that was listed there, the drones, they mentioned cybersecurity.
Right.
But there was also agriculture brought up several times, agriculture classes, and I know we no longer offer those here. But that's something that we should put on the radar, I believe, because there were several students interested in it. And then when the older students were talking about it, then the younger students said, "Oh, yeah, we would love to do some of that." When they started actually talking about, well, we got a buddy that goes to this school and they're doing this, this, and this. The younger kids heard that and they were like, "Yeah, we would love to have that here." But again, as with everything, that entire plan, a lot of it is tied back to funding.
Well,
And we'll have to address them as we can get there.
that was leading to my next
Sure.
question. Well, just a comment. We are primarily a city school rather than a county or country school such as Surrey County, and that goes without saying. And we don't have the agriculture. And Elkin has always been, I would say famously known for its academics, which I don't want to see us back away from in the least. But, and in light of our financial situation that we're in right now, and we're in a very, very, very tight financial situation. And then just reading from NC Ed, the past couple of weeks, the several emails that they've sent out to us about of course, the federal cutting. The state has already announced to us that they're cutting and they're shifting a lot of the monies to Western North Carolina, and we understand that. And then I don't know about the county and the local funding. Boy, we're aggressive, but we may have great ideals,
Yes.
but if we don't have the money, and I know that's a concern that the entire board shares.
Sure. As do all of us.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of you do. We can want to go to the moon, but we don't have the money like, what's his name, Musk, that has his space crew that can afford to do that. It's encouraging, but at the same time, it gives us pause to question where we're going to get the funds.
Yeah.
I think that getting a grant writer is a great idea. And so, and then I didn't know that there are laws with the General Assembly that every school has to have a vice principal. Every school has to have
Yeah,
a nurse.
we don't know if they'll get passed, but
Yeah,
a lot of that is centered around the safety aspect of schools and where we are in 2025. So there are several bills out there for an assistant principal. Like
I think
said,
we need to
nurse.
contact our assembly people and say, okay, if you're going to mandate these things for us, you're going to have to give us more money to do these. We can't magically pull money out of the air
Yes.
and make promises to people that we can't keep. And that affects us all the way around. We talk big, but we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk.
Yes, sir.
And so, yeah, we need to contact our representatives, and maybe some of us need to go down to the state capitol and do a little lobbying. Agreed?
I'll be down there in March. I'm going down for the State Board of Ed meeting,
I may go with you if
going down in March.
we'll go down and we'll pound some hallways, knock on doors and say, we need some money.
Sir.
I think making sure that the things that we put in there, especially about CTE and courses that we're wanting to add are obtainable, that we're not just putting them in there and kind of shooting the breeze and our kids really don't have access to that stuff. We want to make sure that,
Yes.
we're hopeful for budget improvements, but realistically, we need to make sure that we can
Well, for the
provide.
next year or two, I don't know that we're gonna have much help financially from anywhere. And it's getting tighter and tighter. Hopefully, things will turn around, but to add to what's been said, we need to have some measurable standards here, where we can look at these and say, we've met this, we're close to meeting this. Yeah, the big how question, how we're gonna do all of this. Oh, what did you mean by infinite campus? I think I know what you mean.
We currently use Power School. It's our student information system.
Mhm.
And that is going away because the state signed a contract with Infinite Campus. It's a different software program.
Okay.
And so everything is going to switch over in the spring, early summer, to Infinite Campus. And so we'll have to have a lot of training because all of our attendance, behavior, grades all go into that system. All our contact information for students and staff, parents goes into that information system. So there'll be a lot of training involved.
Did the state mandate this for us?
Yes,
And are they providing the?
yeah, they ended their contract with Power School. They are paying for Infinite Campus.
Good,
And
good.
so it's just the program we're mandated to use, but they pay for it. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So when we're looking at this and like, I'm just gonna look at people and staff.
Okay.
Like as an example, number 3, create a culture of appreciation and support by strengthening mentorship programs, recognizing staff achievements, and ensure open communication between leadership and staff. Like how, this is just one example, because I wrote some things down here.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that we had talked about as far as appreciation of staff, things of that, you know, talked about ways in which you could lighten the teacher's load. Whether it was providing more time with planning or bringing in aides or volunteers or things like that. Like, I'm just talking off of things that we've spoken about
Sure.
before.
Sure.
Like, will you have more bullet points, or how, I'm just curious, how will we know if we're doing this? Like, how, do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. And we're already doing some of it. You know, the Ed Foundation started a volunteer program and they're working to build a group of folks. But again, it's sad to say there's not people beating the doors down either. So we've got to figure out what's going on there and why they don't want to be here, or maybe they just can't. You know, maybe they don't have the time. I don't know. But that's one of the things we got to figure out with that. The high school, middle school is already talking about a mentorship program with folks in the community. So we're already working on that. It's going to be an ongoing process. We will be able to track the data of the volunteer group through the Ed Foundation because they've set up a system where they're taking they're doing the intake, all the paperwork and et cetera for the volunteers. And they've going to put together a spreadsheet that share with us and track, you know, who's going to what school, how long, how many days are they working there. They're going to keep up with all that. So we'll have some hard data from that piece of it. And I'm sure our principals will have some data. They'll put together some data because they're the best at it for the mentorship program and be able to track who's where and who's with who. And this is how long they've met. This is what they talked about. I'm sure they'll have all that we can share out at different points throughout the year. But you're right. It's going to be a lot of data tracking, just like with our hard data, with our test scores, our graduation rate, our growth. We'll have to do the same with those soft skill, intangible kind of things. We'll have to figure out a way to bring in some hard data to reflect back and report out, because we're talking about being transparent.
Right.
We want to show, hey, these things are working. We're doing this, and this is what we're doing. So we're going to have some reporting out, and I've got some ideas
Okay, well,
about the
and this
reporting
is
out.
kind of what I'm questioning.
I've got some
is,
ideas.
You've had so many groups of people.
Sure.
And you've reached out to so many,
Yes.
all these different groups, and the best way people feel like they're heard
Yes.
is by actually seeing action happen.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I guess that's.
It's not just falling on deaf ears. Exactly.
And I
Turn
can't,
around and show, yes, we've done this.
Sure.
We've done that.
and I can't speak too highly of both the internship and the mentoring program. I know through my college and seminary days, I had some mentors that came and put their arms around my shoulders and said, which way are you headed? You want to go this way? You want to go this way? You want to get this way? They gave me thoughts and helped me to work through a maze of questions And then the whole matter of the internship, I've already met a couple of people that have had some interns. I think that's a great, I mean, for those that are not going to follow a liberal arts course of education and going the CTE route, that is so invaluable. You get these young people doing, we used to call it DE, distributive education. Any of you remember that? And I think it's been replaced with CTE. Get these kids out here, these young people, into these businesses doing internships.
Yes,
I don't think I want to do this, but I really like this. You know,
yes,
helps them with
It
their
does.
career choice.
it does. And I want to say that our CTE programs also, a lot of the kids are in some kind of path that will lead to four-year institution in that CTE field. There's a lot of ways that they can transfer into that, even through the Surrey Yak and Works program.
I think Mrs. Carpenter, Dana Carpenter has done a great job.
Yes, definitely. Any other questions or?
We're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, we'll let Dr. Hall sit down and then we'll move to the action items,
Ma'am.
which he will present.
Okay. The first one there is, revisiting, for the second reading, the policy 7130 AR. And, again, that was just the addition of the different pathways to, licensure for our, teachers. This again is the second reading, and this came directly from the state to show all the available pathways for our teachers to reach that point and have their teaching certificate.
If there's no questions or concerns, I'll ask for a motion to approve this.
Motion to approve as amended.
Thank you.
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Dr. Emily Rycroft is going to present sixth grade EOE schedule request.
Good evening again. 3 years ago, Elkin City Schools created an opportunity for our sixth graders to co-enroll at the middle school for their encore classes. So this action allowed our sixth graders to participate in CTE pathways, to participate in fine and performing arts with larger ensembles, and it has strengthened our athletic program by including sixth grade in middle school sports. For all of these positive outcomes, one drawback has been the extension of the school day for our sixth grade students. So our sixth graders begin their day at as early as 7:25. That's when our car line starts and when safety patrol is out and when WELK, our news program, begins. And they end their academic day at 3:10, which is about 35 minutes later than all of the other students in the district. Past 2 years, the board has allowed our sixth graders the privilege of ending their school year a few days early to compensate for their additional time throughout the year. So once again, I am respectfully requesting that the board allow our sixth graders to end their year after their sixth grade promotion in the park on May 22nd.
I have a question actually for Ally on this. I didn't know we had to vote on this until today because I don't think we did yet last year. I'm not sure if we did.
I went back and looked through emails and it looks like maybe the board was polled. You and I had gone back, well, you had asked a few questions that I had answered to Dr. Cox at the time. And then I got a response that the board had approved it. So I don't know what that means.
Okay. And so my question is it possible instead of, like, let's say the sixth graders continue to do what they're doing, which is being bussed over. So this occurs every single year. Would we not just be able to put this on the calendar, like Allison puts it on the calendar, like instead of last day, it'd be last day for sixth graders and then, you know, and then we approve the calendar so that way parents know right away, it's just known and can we do something like that? Or is that?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking to see really quick, there's a policy on testing schedule. Do you know if there's a policy on testing schedule specifically?
Elementary school is last 10 days a year.
But as far as the board having to set the days, I think that there's a policy. So
Follow the state, yeah.
I think that that's.
I mean, it would make sense to me, instead of every year you having to come and, anyway.
And Madam Chair, if we
Yes.
move the sixth grade from over there to over here,
Would-
that would eliminate.
Yeah, it would. But I'm just saying, if that doesn't occur, then next year possibly we could go ahead and do that. Okay, well then I am looking for a motion, unless if there's any other talk or consideration, I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Julia? All right, all in favor? Aye. All right, hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Mrs. Allison Moxley White presents the calendar revised.
Good evening. There were 4 revisions to this calendar. They are February the 11th was changed to an optional day from a student day. And then February the 12th was a 2-hour delay. And then on February the 19th and 20th, both of those are turned into remote days. February the 11th, that did reduce the instructional hours by 6. February the 12th, that was a 2-hour delay, so that took 2 hours of instruction away. And then the 19th and 20th, there were no instructional hours taken away. So we now have 1,034 instructional hours. And of course, that is still more than the required 1,025.
Okay. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve this revision?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Mr. John Altmuller. To present Duke Energy preliminary easement exhibit.
Good evening. So Duke Energy contacted me 2 or 3 weeks ago about acquiring an easement from us. It cuts across our central office property. It actually follows the road. It used to be Hendricks Avenue. The Board of Education actually owns that road now. I don't know if everybody's noticed or not, but Duke Energy built another tower on that property. And the plan is, once the new tower is operational, they'll tear the old one down, which I hope is going to be a benefit to us to get rid of the buzzards that like to roost on that tower. It's seriously been a problem. We park our buses over there and they get splattered some, but
With what?
go ahead, yes. But anyway, Duke Energy is asking for this easement. I personally don't have a problem with it. It's going to be minimally invasive for us. They plan to horizontally bore it underground, so they would basically punch a couple of holes and horizontally drill and pop up in a few places and put the conduit right down the middle of the road. So there is a blank form of easement on the last page, and if that is acceptable legally, they would of course fill it out and get your approval. But that's basically it. They want to get a fiber optic line so they can get their tower up and running.
No way we can make money on that.
$10.
Well, actually, we already made, before they built that tower, they acquired another, I mean, it was like in hundreds of square feet of property that they paid us for. And they paid us pretty handsomely. It was right before, Ms. Tomlin came. Mr. Blackburn, I think you were on the board then when we, sold them that property. My thing with Duke Power has always been, I don't mind them having the right of ways. I don't mind the towers and all that stuff. They own that property. But as far as acquiring anything else from them, we're not paying any money. Any legal fees, anything that's required, they pay for. And other than that, I'm fine with it.
Are there any other questions or concerns from anybody? No? Okay, then, yes, I will ask for a motion to approve this easement.
I Make that motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
No, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
I will let them know, and as soon as they have the paperwork, I'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And tell them we could use 100 grand.
I'll let them know.
Yeah. Mrs. Rachel Creasy will present, a budget amendment.
I actually have about 4 budget amendments or 4 different funds with amendments in them. Do you guys have all of those?
You speaking?
Is this better?
A little closer.
Okay. Like I'm having to like kind of squat.
Move it over toward you. There you go.
Is there any questions on these?
Where are we getting this 31,000?
75.
Oh, okay.
We had another one come in after I submitted that one, so I had to resubmit another one. This is all state. So they just
Okay.
drop it in. Part of it is stop arm replacement for the school buses. It looks like it includes the cameras and everything like that. The next one is health courier promotion. Dana, CTE, got a grant. It's $25,000 that. And the last one is SRO grant. So that's money to pay for our school resource officer. Very, very nice. The rest of these is just me reallocating funds as needed. There's nothing major on here. Is there any questions or anything regarding that?
Okay. Then I will ask for a motion to approve these budget amendments.
So move.
Mr. Blackburn, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Sullivan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving right along, Dr. Hall presents overnight field trip request.
Ma'am, thank you. This trip is for our FCCLA class or club at the high school, B4 students. And then we traveled to state competition at the Corey Convention Center there in Greensboro. Another great opportunity for some of our students there.
Okay. Everybody had a chance to look over this, right? Great. All right, then I will ask for a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Wonderful.
Thank
Then personnel report for February 24th, 2025. We all reviewed that earlier. Can I get a motion to approve that as well?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Leah, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Blackburn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Announcements. Spring break is March 10th through March 14th. Monday, March 17th, there's a required work day. Monday, March 24th is a regular Board of Education meeting. That will be back at the administrative I'm starting to get tongue tied. At the administrative building at 6 p.m. Before we adjourn, I do want to ask, 'cause it sounds like Susan may be a part of this now. Our kids are in beta and they will be going to nationals, in Florida in June, which is June 23rd would be our regularly scheduled meeting. So we are going to have to move that. I'm going to request or ask if possibly June 30th, the following Monday, would work for everybody.
It would work for me.
For me. Okay. All right,
Don't need a motion for that, do we? Mhm.
If you're gonna reschedule it, I think you should take a motion for it, so that it
Okay,
okay,
well, I will make that motion, Madam Chair.
thank you. Is there a second for moving it to June 30th?
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries so that June 23rd meeting has been moved. With that, I will ask to adjourn this portion, but we will go into closed session one more time. So can I get?
Well, Madam Chair,
Or do I not? Yes.
I'd just like a question, clarification.
Oh.
I went on the website and could not find it. But I assume that the graduation is gonna be May 30th?
Yes.
May 30th, okay. Thank you, that's all I needed to know. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.